Hello, welcome to session 2 of I Am a Connector workshop. Yesterday, the first part of this workshop focused on the power of storytelling in conservation. We had the privilege to hear from young conservationists from around the world as they shared their experiences in overcoming challenges and achieving conservation success. Today's session is designed to be highly interactive, so we hope you'll get involved. Let's first start with some introductions. My name is Gabriel Oppler, and this is Melissa Butinski. Is it Butinski or Butinski?
I honestly don't know. I say Butinski.
Yeah, I'll probably say Butinski because that's what's been. We will be facilitating today's session. First, we are going to introduce ourselves with an activity called a radically human introduction. I work for a nonprofit based in Bozeman, Montana in the United States called the Center for Large Landscape Conservation. And I'm also a master's student at the University of Montana. Before that, I studied biology at Haverford College in Pennsylvania, which is on the East Coast of the United States. Out there, the landscape was a little different than it is here. It was primarily rolling mountains called the Appalachian Mountains. And this is where I got my first interest in nature. And this is sort of the landscape that got me first excited to enter this career. I also spent a lot of time outside playing soccer as a young kid, as you can see, and until today. Sports have been a big part of my life. On the right, you can see me and my parents. They have supported me in doing anything I want to do, including getting into conservation, which is pretty unfamiliar to them and a field that my family had not considered, but they've supported me. All this is to say that today my passions are bringing people together outside, as you can see here at a fire pit, and bringing together conservationists across cultures. And this picture on the bottom right is a group of brown bear conservationists in Romania after we took part in a bear conservation workshop there. Obviously, this was prior to the pandemic, but we look forward to these kinds of interactions in the future. So that's a little bit about me and what gets me excited. How long do you think that was? 2 minutes?
2 minutes, maybe?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Butinski. I'll start up at the top here. I currently work for the Center for Large Landscape Conservation. I recently graduated with a master's in environmental management from Western Colorado University, which is a little town in Western Colorado. Before coming to the Center for Large Landscapes, I have been working as a field biologist for about 4 years with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. During that job, I worked with everything from fisheries to ptarmigan in the high alpine to mountain lions and bighorn sheep. So I've been really lucky to interact with quite a bit of wildlife from my home state. A bit about my roots here in the middle, that picture of the mountain and the red rocks is where I grew up in Colorado Springs. I was very lucky to grow up with that type of view and be immediately immersed in nature from my childhood. From a young age, I got pretty into a lot of outdoor sports. One of my favorite things is fishing. I'm a self-taught fly fisherwoman, as well as I taught myself to tie my own flies, and that's something that I've remained passionate about throughout my entire life. This last photo is me here in a very special place to me. It's an area in Kenya that my husband grew up in. I was first able to visit Kenya in 2012 for school and to meet my husband's family, and have been really lucky to spend quite a bit of a time out there. And it's really been eye-opening and helped me change my conservation ethic, being able to work in these like highly prized areas where you have tons of conservation work that can be super inequitable, and learning a lot about how to really just interact within the conservation sphere outside of my own home. Now, to bring it back home, since graduating college, I've been very lucky to continue working as a wildlife biologist. I had the great pleasure of conducting my master's research out in Kenya, looking at lion connectivity. This is me in front of the sign where my husband grew up on Olpegida Conservancy. So I was really lucky to have that duality where my personal and professional lives collided. Today, my big thing has moved a little bit away from fishing and a bit more about riding bicycles. I think it's a good way to connect to the outdoors and get people moving. And I now live in Montana and continue to have my great mountain views. That final picture is my dog Zion, who travels everywhere with me. And that's just a little bit about me.
Where's that picture?
3 minutes.
Yeah, you could.
I'll go shorter. I can do shorter.
Yeah.
And say what I want better.
But wow, great. Thanks, Melissa. One of the common threads of yesterday's storytelling session was the importance of connections and networks for advancing conservation work. At the Center for Large Landscape Conservation, Melissa and I work to promote two kinds of connectivity, both human networks and ecological connectivity. According to the Convention on Migratory Species, ecological connectivity is defined as the unimpeded movement of species and flow of natural processes that sustains life on Earth. What's more, the IUCN World Conservation Congress on its online platform this year recently passed resolutions committing its members to promote ecological connectivity around the world. All of conservation, that is connected to ecological processes and flows. And as young conservationists, we have the power to advance this work and inform future policy. So after today's workshop, we hope you'll join a new network of young people advancing connectivity conservation. In the chat, we are going to post a Google form if you would like to join that group.
How do you want to rework that a little bit, or how do you feel about it?
Which one?
What you just went through. You feel it?
All conservation is connected to. Well, I forgot to show this slide.
Okay.
So this would have been IUCN recently passed.
Mm-hmm.
All of conservation is connected. All of conservation is related to, is somehow related to. Because we say connected like a million times.
Mm-hmm. Somehow related to. Maybe like all of conservation has a connectivity component. Most of conservation has a connectivity component.
There's so many C words.
Should we just remove it?
Well, I think that's the connection that we're making between why this matters to everyone, we hope.
Mm-mm.
We could say we believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Okay.
If someone argued that, that'd be a really interesting conversation. How would it be related? I mean, of course, there's like human dimensions of conservation, but they're, in my opinion, fundamental part of ecological processes and flows. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I think we go with it.
I'll post that in the chat while you're talking.
That'd be great. Yeah. Okay. And now.
In today's session, we will also want to build on the other definition of connectivity, the connections that exist between all of us as people. As we go through the activities today, we hope you will pay attention to the unexpected connections that create our social network. Our goal today is to simply highlight the power of connectivity. and to hope you leave this session with a few friends and a greater appreciation for the importance of ecological connectivity in your own work in conservation.
Let's try to get rid of that too. And hope you, okay.
And to hope.
Should I then put, oh, I can't see that. Here's the thing. I can't see the chat while I'm screen sharing.
So do you want me to put all of the thingies in?
Unless
I think I put them all in anyway.
Wrong here. Oh, here it is. Chat. I can see it now.
Okay.
But is this still you, or should I put in?
I think I put this in while you start talking about the next thing.
Oh, right. Yep. Because then we're going to what we're actually doing. As Melissa and I demonstrated, a radically human introduction brings together our personal and professional lives to better explain who we are as people. For the next 15 minutes, we're going to give each of you an opportunity to create your own radically human introduction. So in the chat, you'll find instructions for doing this. We would recommend either using a blank PowerPoint slide or Word document. If you feel rushed, at least focus on making sure that you have one item in each row. Professional emblem up top, something about your roots in the middle, and something to represent where you are now at the bottom. If you're on a mobile device, feel free to draw on paper or simply write down what you hope to say for each of these sections. Melissa and I will stay here to answer questions if you need, and your 15 minutes starts now. Let us know in the chat when you finished.
Oh, boop.
Boop to boop.
Isn't there another slide where we show the...
Oh, we'll leave that up.
We'll leave that up. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's pretend I had put the link in the thing. Link. All right. And then everyone's like, we're done.
Oh, gosh, it's still me. We hope that was enough time for you to quickly pull together your introduction. Next, we're going to invite you to join a breakout group where you can share those introductions with each other. This should be about half an hour total. The next part of the workshop after that will be an activity to create a network map within your breakout group. This should also take about half an hour. Your goal as a group will be to draw a network map that includes everyone with as many strong personal and professional links as possible. And then keep in mind that we'll have time at the end of the session to share these network maps. So consider assigning one person in your group who can take a screenshot and present about your experiences building the network.
We should probably have the network map. Yeah.
Know.
Sorry, this must be hard for you to do both.
If I had introduce yourself. Should we introduce yourself? Can I make a little?
Can you make a note, like slide? Just say slide number.
I don't even see numbers.
Oh, well, never mind.
Well, is there presenter mode? There must be, right? Presenter view. Oh. It's not full screen though, which is kind of annoying. Nah, I'm not going to use that. Slide. I think I'll figure it out.
Okay, so we can leave that up while you're talking. And then when I start, we can have the little example one up. Okay. So in your breakout rooms, you will have to decide what best works for your particular group to create a network diagram. One option is for someone in the group to navigate to the draw diagram link provided and share their screen while they build a map for the group. Preferably pick someone with strong internet. For other groups who want to be a bit more collaborative, it may be best for one person to share their screen, and you can all use the Zoom annotation feature to draw your diagram. To use the annotation feature, First, go to your Zoom screen. Up at the top in green, you'll see something that says you are viewing Gabriel Offler's screen. Click the View Options down caret, and you should see Annotate. Click on that, and you'll have options to move your mouse, write text, draw, stamp, whatever you need to build those network maps. Do make sure you save them or screenshot them so we don't lose them when we pull you back from the breakout rooms. Take a few moments to familiarize yourself. If most of your group is on mobile devices or can't access some of the tools we've talked about, it might be best for someone to just use good old pen and paper and share it with the group. Feel free to get creative within your group on how you make these. Now we will send you into your breakout rooms. First, have everyone present their Radically Human introductions. Remember not to take much more than 3 minutes apiece. And then begin brainstorming those network maps. Gabe and I will move between rooms and answer questions if needed. Have fun. Gabe, do you see a way to put people in the breakout rooms as host?
What the heck? Are they not? No. Oh yeah, now I do. Okay. Create. Oh, you can create. I had to go full screen for that to show up. It must have been hidden. By the way, there is a function to let people choose their own room, but I think we're just gonna do it auto.
Disperse them. Yeah, just auto them.
Okay, cool.
And I think as a co-host, I can move around, but I might not be able to. And
can we both be hosts?
Can we try?
Well, can only one to be a host and another one is a co-host. So co-host cannot manage the room, only the host manage the room. Okay. So maybe you can switch, like have a conversation. You can make a private conversations at the chat and then you can switch each other.
Can there only be one host?
Yes, only one host in the room.
Okay. I can be the host.
I could also tell you I'm done in this room if I think we have enough people, and you can boot me to a different one.
Oh, I see.
Yes, you both can switch each other to be a host to go to the room. Yeah.
Oh, right. Right. Okay. Cool.
So you want to start in the next 1 minute, or we have to wait?
We could wait until there's more than 3 or 4 people, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Do you see people in the waiting room?
Yeah, like.
Okay, good.
Gabriel, right? You also can make Melissa as a co-host, so she also can see many people. See the people in the waiting room. But for the host, it's only one host. But you can make a lot of co-hosts actually.
Oh, sorry, Melissa. I thought you were a co-host. Oops. Now you are.
That makes me feel better. I thought no one was coming.
I didn't realize you were not.
Oh, Judy's back.
Yes.
I guess we could always admit everyone and then turn off the waiting room too, if that's easier.
Yeah. Well, then we're going to have to do our little intro again. Right? We only want to. Or, yeah, here. How about we let him in and then we can give it a few minutes before we start?
Yeah, I think that'll be best.
Okay, I'm going to admit that. Or are you doing that, Chin?
Okay, I will do it for you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're going to get started probably in about 3 minutes, let others trickle in if they want to join. Thanks for being here.
For the few people popping in now, we're gonna give it a few more minutes because this session's designed to be pretty interactive. So we kind of want to make sure everyone has a chance to come in so they understand what's happening.
Yeah, us Americans are so obsessed with being exactly on time, but I know that lots of the world, that's not necessarily the most important thing. So we're going to be relaxed.
Do notice a few of you who were at our session yesterday. So thank you for joining us twice. That's very exciting.
Certainly.
All right.
All right, here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to session 2 of I Am a Connector workshop. Yesterday, the first part of this workshop was focused on the power of storytelling and conservation. And like Melissa mentioned, we're really glad to see some of you returning who were here yesterday. We did have the privilege to hear from young conservationists from around the world as they shared their experiences in overcoming challenges and achieving all kinds of conservation success. Today's session is designed to be highly interactive. So that being said, if you have the ability to turn on your camera or even use the little emojis and give a wave and let us know that you're here, that's great. But for now, we're going to start with some introductions as you get settled. My name is Gabriel Oppler, and this is Melissa Butinski, giving a wave now. We had our backgrounds backwards yesterday, but today we fixed that, so we're very proud. We're going to be facilitating this session today, but again, it's interactive and hope that you'll really get involved. Melissa and I are going to introduce ourselves with an activity called a radically human introduction. And I'll start. So as you can see on the upper left corner, I work for the Center for Large Landscape Conservation. We're a conservation NGO based in Bozeman, Montana, in the Northern Rocky Mountains of the United States. And I'm also a master's student at the University of Montana, studying international conservation and development. Prior to that, I got a degree in biology from Haverford College, which is a small college in Pennsylvania on the east coast of the United States. Back east, the landscape is a little different than our mountains out here. They're a lot more rolling and green. And so this landscape is where I first got my passion for nature, being here in the Appalachian Mountains. I also spent a lot of time outside playing sports, especially soccer or football. So here I am as a young kid getting outside in that way. And on the right is a picture of my parents and I. They have supported me in getting into conservation, which is a field that's rather unfamiliar to them, but they've been a huge support for me. And that kind of background has come together to inspire what I try to do now, which is get people together outside. Here on the left is a group of friends and I at a fire pit on a beach. And on the right, and so that's a bit of a personal group of friends. And on the right is a group of brown bear conservation professionals having a meal together after a workshop on bear conservation. So that's ultimately what gets me excited and inspired, is to see people together working to protect nature, often involving food.
Thanks for that, Gabe. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Butinski, and this is my Radically Human introduction. So just to give you a little bit of context, this top row is kind of like my professional realm. The middle row kind of indicates my roots growing up. And then the bottom row is kind of where we bring it back to where we are now. So like Gabe, I work for the Center for Large Landscape Conservation. Last May, I completed my master's in environmental management with Western Colorado University. And before I went to get my master's, I worked for about 4 years with Colorado Parks and Wildlife as a biologist. I worked on everything from sylvatic plague management in prairie dogs, native fisheries, high alpine ptarmigan, bighorn sheep. I got to do a lot of really fun things before I moved on to go get my master's. Growing up, I had the opportunity to live at the base of Pikes Peak. It's a very famous mountain in Colorado Springs, so I grew up with a good appreciation for nature. I am a self-taught fly fisher and fly tyer. That's a big passion of mine and definitely brings me into the recreation side of conservation and how powerful that aspect can be. This picture over here is special to me because in 2012, I was able to travel to Kenya for the first time to see the place that my husband grew up in and meet his family. Moving on from that, I had the opportunity to complete my master's program while living abroad in Kenya, working on the same conservancy that my husband grew up on. So it was really cool to have my personal and professional life collide like that. And I'm very grateful to be able to live in the Rocky Mountains currently and then get to spend a lot of time in East Africa, which is a place that's very special to me. My big thing now, moving on from fishing, is I am big into bicycles. I love getting women outside riding on bicycles and like to act as a mentor in my community for that. And I now live in Bozeman, Montana, so a little farther north from my home state, but still in the Rocky Mountains, and I feel very grateful to be here.
Thanks, Melissa. One of the common threads of yesterday's storytelling session was the importance of connections and networks for advancing conservation work. So at the Center for Large Landscape Conservation, Melissa and I and our colleagues work to promote two kinds of connectivity, both human networks and ecological connectivity. According to the UN's Convention on Migratory Species, ecological connectivity is defined as the unimpeded movement of species and flow of natural processes that sustains life on Earth. What's more, the IUCN World Conservation Congress on its online platform in 2020 recently passed the resolution that commits its members to promote ecological connectivity around the world. So we believe that conservationists as a whole almost always somehow related to ecological processes and flows. So as young conservationists, we have the power to advance this work and inform future policy and practice. So after today's workshop, we hope that you will join a new network of young people advancing connectivity conservation. Believe Melissa will put in the chat a Google form that you can fill out if you would like to get involved in that new initiative.
Thanks, Gabe, and you'll all see that link to the form in the chat. In today's session, we also want to build on the other definition of connectivity, and that's the connections that exist between all of us as people. We're going to go through a couple of activities with you guys today, and we really hope you pay attention to the unexpected connections that you find when creating a social network. And our goal today is simply to highlight the power of connectivity and to hope that you leave this session with a few new friends or contacts and a greater appreciation for the importance of ecological connectivity in your own work in conservation.
As Melissa and I demonstrated earlier, a radically human introduction brings together our personal and our professional lives to better explain who we are as people. So in the next 15 minutes, like I said, this is an interactive workshop. We're going to give each of you an opportunity to make your own radically human introduction. In the chat, thanks Melissa, you'll find instructions for making that introduction, and we'll also put them up on the screen. We recommend, if you have access to using a blank PowerPoint slide or a Word document, but you could also use just a piece of paper. For instance, if you're on your mobile device and you can't pull up PowerPoint or Word. If you're feeling rushed, just try to focus on making sure you have one item in each row. So like a professional emblem at the top, something about your roots or your background in the middle, and then something to represent where you are right now at the bottom. Again, you can use a PowerPoint slide, you can use a Word document. If you're on your phone, you can just draw on paper. Melissa and I will be here to answer questions, but this is a personal activity. And we will have a chance to then share them. Did I forget anything? There are sort of the background for how to do said introductions, and your 15 minutes starts now. Let us know in the chat if you have questions or when you have finished.
Well, I see that Joanna and Bryn both have something, so perhaps they'll be our first volunteers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we can, anyone else who's still wrapping up their introductions can do that. Hopefully that was enough time. This is our first time leading this activity, but so far, glad to see. Awesome. Okay, see some in the chat. Let me change the slide now. Here we go. So the rest of the workshop here is going to take the following form. Rather than going into breakout groups, which was our first intention, we have a small enough group here that I think we're going to be able to work all together in one group. Once people are wrapped up with having their introductions ready, we're going to give you the chance to speak, and we'll close our mouths and let each of you introduce yourselves, shooting for about that 3-minute sweet spot on your radically human introductions. What we're going to do after that is attempt to build a network map. And well, again, I said we'll do this all together here in this big group. And the goal with the network map will be to represent everyone in one network with as many strong personal or professional links as possible between us. And Melissa has made a example.
Yeah, so we're hoping that at the end of this, we'll have all of our participants here. So the whole 16 of us. Chin, you can be involved too. You don't have to just be tech support. We will have a connection between each and every one of us, and also try to define as many connections as possible between one another. So a bit of a networking opportunity and just an opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better, because we know how hard it is in this new remote work situation. It's kind of hard to find those little like hallway chats that you normally can have with people. So this is our attempt to make something kind of informal, kind of fun. It will be a little more interactive. So we hope you guys will, when we come to it, jump on screen, shout things out, or else Gabe and I will drag it out of you. But I think for now, we could start with the Radically Human introductions. Obviously, if you don't want to share one, you made one for yourself, but you're like, I don't know these people, I don't want to get involved. You are not at all obligated to share, but I would really love if people would, of your own volition, pop on, introduce yourself, and go through your introduction so we can all get to meet you.
Judy, do you want to start us off?
Well, thank you. I'd be delighted. Everybody hear me? Okay, awesome. So I did it on a Word doc. Am I going to have a chance to share my screen or no? Doesn't matter, but.
You should be able to with the green arrow at the bottom.
Okay, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. Okay, just
all participants can now try again.
Yay, how's that? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm just so delighted to be here. And yesterday I enjoyed the story so much. I found that 2 hours went by really quickly, hearing everyone share their personal stories and about the amazing things that they're achieving. And I'm not in your age cohort, as may be obvious to you, but I am an ally of young people and a mentor to young people. And that has been the work that I've been dedicated to for over 15 years now. So across the top, you'll see two logos. Yes BC, Youth for Environmental Stewardship, is a nonprofit that I founded in 2008. And the purpose of it was to raise young voices and provide leadership opportunities and spaces for young people to work as allies with young people to help them move forward their projects and so forth. And next to that, the Climate Reality Project is something I joined in 2008, and that is a global initiative led by Al Gore, former US Vice President. So I became trained as a climate leader in 2008 in Montreal, and the first training that they did in Canada. There's now about 20,000 climate leaders worldwide in this organization. And since 2009, I've been the lead mentor for British Columbia for this project. The next photo is of the Legislative Assembly of British Columbia, which is where I have worked for the last 8 years. And I just retired. I'm 64, almost 65. So for 8 years, I was a legislative staffer in the British Columbia legislature. I'm sorry I didn't go back to my early years to find a photo there. It's a little bit, I got a lot of history, but anyway, this is a little more recent for me. So I am newly retired and now so excited to be able to follow my passions and with great intention do the things that mean the most to me, which is mentoring young people and making connections. And I know many young people in the area that I live in British Columbia, in Canada, in other places around the world. I've had the honor to get to know, and I would love to continue that and build relationships with some of the people that I'm meeting here today. And the pictures on the bottom are just of some recent walks that I've been taking. We're getting some gorgeous weather right now in Victoria. This is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and the spring blossoms are out. And since retiring, I have had the opportunity and pleasure to be able to put my runners on and just go for a walk every day. So I'm like 5 to 10 kilometers a day to enjoy the beauty around me. And yeah, so that's me. And I'd love to connect with you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing first, Judy, and for attending both sessions. That's awesome to have you on for both.
Yeah, can I jump in and say the full title of the workshop, I think, is I'm a Connector, Bridging Generations and Landscapes with Storytelling. So we're so very glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Akash, maybe do you want to jump in next and share? I'm calling on you just because you worked with us yesterday.
Yeah. So, like, I'm sharing my screen, okay? First. Hello, is my screen visible?
I just see the white right now.
Okay. It is giving me 3 options that like photos, website URL, bookmark, and whiteboard. Is there any other option? Okay, I will take a screenshot of that the presentation. I think that I can convert into the photo. It is not allowing me to share the screen.
Okay.
I will go next. Okay, you can.
Okay. Perfect. Leah, do you want to jump in then?
Okay. How can I share my screen? Okay.
So at the bottom bar where you can mute or turn off video, there should be a green square that says, yeah, you got it.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I don't know if better?
That looks good, yeah.
Okay. So I had studied environmental biology in the Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona. Then at the same time, I have been involved in Associació Grem, where I funded this organization with some colleagues. It's a local organization who works for conservation, environmental education, and research about amphibians and reptiles. Then I done my practices of the university in the Evolutive Biology Institute here in Barcelona too. and I was involved in genomic studies as my master thesis. I did it there too, in geckos genomics. And now I will be working on Universitat de Barcelona with genomics too. I born in Catalonia, in northern Spain, and this is the natural areas that are closer to my city. This is me when I was, I don't know how age I was, but I have been involved in contact with nature. I loved animals since I know. And now you have some of photos of me doing research work in field work and in the lab, and doing also environmental education and outreach, which I think it's the base of the conservation. And I'm also, I haven't put it here, but I'm also part of the Catalan Youth Delegation, as Joanna that is here too. And I don't know, I love nature and going hiking and these things. Thank you.
Amazing. I really love the center photo of you as a kid.
I don't know how to stop sharing. Okay, thank you.
Got it. Great. Akash, did you figure yours out? Are you ready, or do you need a little bit more?
Yeah, I have taken the screenshot. Let me just check whether I'm able to share the photo.
And Joanna, you can go next.
No, I guess it is having some technical problem.
Could you, Akash, since you have Gabe's email, could you send it to him and we'll let Joanna go and then he'll share?
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, I tried. Yes, it works. Yeah, perfect. I'm environmental biologist. Also, I have a master degree in biodiversity conservation and a master degree of education and a post degree of European environment law. I love the study, sorry. Well, it's taken me to work in Sustainable School of Barcelona, and I'm now active member of Carnivore Research Group of Catalonia. And well, as you see, oh, no, se m'ha bloqueat. Oh, sorry. My
Oh no. What would be a year of COVID without technical difficulties? I'm sure we'll get her back. Is anyone else interested in sharing while we wait for Joanna to sort out computer or network issues? CC?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Glad to be back. I'll share my screen. Just let me know if you can see it. Great. So for me, it was a bit difficult to order this in 3 rows because everything is kind of interlinked. And so I just try to present everything kind of. So I will start with the first picture, which shows the business and environment here. I have a bachelor in business and a master in environment. And that is something that is a bit unusual. And that was actually, it was not easy to transition, because if you spend like 3 years in a business environment and you never really talk even about corporate social responsibility, and then you get into like the environmental field, it took me some time to adjust, but now I consider this a great advantage because I kind of can see both sides there. But then I decided to go more into the environmental field, which after several workstations led me to ADB, the Asian Development Bank, where I'm a consultant right now. And I work on combating illegal wildlife trade in the Philippines. And this is a topic that, like, once you start thinking about it more, working with it, like getting really into the depths of it, it doesn't really let you go, which is why I also enrolled into online certificate courses at the University of California, Riverside, and at UF Florida in wildlife forensics, forensic science and conservation, and in crime and intelligence analysis, because I'm trying to get more into that like mindset of why people do that and, well, how to stop them eventually. In the second row, you can see some of my hobbies that developed along the way. I'm a PADI rescue diver. I love diving, love being underwater, really gets your mind off everything. I couldn't have done everything I did without my family and friends, of course, who have always supported me. And then in the center picture, I'm a huge fan of marine turtles. So I've volunteered a lot with marine turtles, done turtle recording in Australia. So this has been a big part of my life. And next to wildlife trade, marine conservation is kind of like my second pillar. This little guy you can see there, who's standing there, this is famous for the region where I come from in Germany, Eastern Germany near the Ore Mountains. So there's a lot of carvings going on for Christmas. And this is a nutcracker. So the originals are carved like in our region, and then they're shipped over to the whole world. And I really like them. And then you can see that I like hiking as well. The last row is really because you asked like what defines ourselves. So I'm German, but I'm like Filipina by heart. I've lived in the Philippines for the last 5 years until last year when COVID hit and I had to leave the country within 48 hours. And I've been in Germany since, been working from home office, and I'm not sure when I can go back to my apartment and my friends and everything. So that's been a challenge. And I'm looking really like forward to going back to that country that I also love and call my second home. And yeah, and all of these experiences I think have shaped what I'm working with right now, which is not just my professional interest, but also my personal interest. So this is why the last two pictures here, you can see some ivory that's being traded. And the last picture is a pangolin, which is the world's most traded mammal. And unfortunately, there's still too few people who know about these unique animals. So I had to bring them into the slide somehow and spread the word. That's it. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome, Cece. Joanna's back and she's going to give it another go.
Thanks. Okay, I don't know where I was. So I love study. This I know you listen. And now I'm working in Sustainable School of Barcelona. And I'm being an active member of the Carnivore Research Group of Catalonia. My roots are nature and rural world. My parents come from a farming world, and I used to take care of goats, sheep, and cows. And I also harvest mushrooms and asparagus. This is This is normal in the forest, so that's, well, for me it's the best. I love doing that with a respectful way, not not harvesting all the mushrooms of the forest. Now I get involved in natural conservation and environment education, both professional and personal. The photos below are tracking brown bear of Pyrenees, and the other one is tracking wild cats. And well, the last picture is about the Youth Energy Summit. As Laia said, we are member of Catalan Youth Delegation, and we explain in Catalonia what are we doing here. And well, I hope this will be a good change to improve and have better ways to conserve nature. So that's a little bit about me. And thanks for all.
Gabe, if you got Akash's, do you want to pull his up and we'll let him share?
Yeah, I did. Perfect timing. Okay.
Perfect.
I'll put it here, but I don't know what to say. So Akash can.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Gab. So the first row is from the left to right. Currently, I'm working in Planet Earth Foundation, and I completed my graduation from Shivaji University, that is at the right corner, university. Then after completing my graduation, I completed my graduation in engineering basically. So it was nothing to do with environment and all, very less I would say. But my interest was always in like working for conservation and all. So after completing my engineering, I joined one organization, AERF. I worked out there almost for 2.5 year, and that organization works community-based conservation of private forests in the northern Western Ghats itself. After working like with AERF, uh, after that I worked almost for 1 year with Grassroots. So Grassroots is again one organization, and it's a company basically who works on rural tourism. It's a community-based tourism. They works across the India to generate best livelihood source for like communities through uh, ecotourism and the sustainable tourism basically. And the University of Pune, that is currently I am also completing my masters from Pune University in biodiversity and management and utilization subject. So that is first row. In the second row, the landscape you are seeing at the left side is the northern Western Ghats, which is kind of my home place. And the center picture is the community which I belong to. Like I belong to farmers community, and it's the farmers practicing their rice sowing thing in the farm. And the last image in the second row is the Chandelier National Park. That's the entry gate of the Chandelier National Park, where I have spent my almost 15-20 years since childhood, visiting that national park, exploring that since childhood. And as I yesterday also I shared the sighting of the first sighting of leopard, which was from that particular national park itself. Then the last row, the first image, like from the left side, is that like we me and my team were exploring the trails of as it is like professional way. As we started almost back 6-7 years back, we started exploring the forest trails, communities, and all. Then engaging with the school students. The middle image explains that we are conducting one activity on field with the students, with the forest department and all. And the last image is the recent one, which I yesterday talked about, the wildlife emergency services. So that's the forest officials in the kind of different, like their official dress codes, and the left side, my team is there, and we work together for the various conservation issues at local level. So this is basically my introduction. Thank you.
I'm gonna take off my facilitator hat for a second and just say, this is so much cooler than I imagined, that almost anyone in the world could have just showed up on our Zoom call. And now I feel like I'm starting to get to know you. So cool. Was there anyone else who, Melissa was handling the lineup here. Was anyone else in line here? Or
now at that point, like jump forward if you do want to present. Otherwise, I think we can move on, unless you have another idea, Gabe.
Well, I know a few people may have just showed up recently. If you just showed up, all we've done up to this point, we've done a lot, but we've been introducing ourselves. So if you want to or can turn your camera on or turn your audio on and tell us where you're coming from or what you do, we give you a minute. Ha, knew it.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? So I arrived later to the conversation, so I didn't have time to do the presentation. I'm sorry about that. Well, my name is Alejandro. I'm from Colombia. I am veterinarian. Study a master's in a specialization on environmental law, and then a master's in conservation and international wildlife trade. So I spent like the past 5 years like qualifying myself, and now I'm interested in, like, I've been trying to find like a job and like an employee, and couldn't find any place. So I'm trying to start my own company, or my ecopreneurship. So yes, I'm attending to this event to see what can I learn, and to join two people that are working already in conservation.
Thanks, Alejandro. Glad to have you here. Anyone else before we transition to our network? Is that Emo? Am I saying
yes,
that?
My computer was just frozen.
Oh, no worries.
But it seems to be working now. Yes, I'm an early career conservationist from Germany. I've just finished my bachelor's last year, and I'm sort of in between before my master's. And now I've had to go home because of COVID. So I'm in my home city, which is Berlin. So I'm experiencing conservation in a city context, which is interesting. It's very different from what I was doing before. And yeah, just here to see what else is out there and what people are doing. And mostly because I'm in the beginnings of my career, I'm really interested to see how people got where they were, what sort of steps are they taking, or what sort of wrong steps were they taking, and still how to somehow made it. Yeah.
Super. Thank you. Well, I don't want to cut anyone else off, but as we move to this next phase of the workshop, there's still going to be plenty of opportunities to tell us who you are and how we're related to all of you. So that being said, thanks again for everyone stepping up and introducing yourself. Hopefully that radically human introduction, which is a new activity for me recently, is helpful for illuminating how our professional and our personal lives are connected and not necessarily one thing or the other. Hi, Daniel. I see you turn your camera on. Do you want to introduce yourself?
So you're unmuted, but we can't hear you still.
No, could be the headphones. No, still not.
If you want to drop some tidbits in the chat, that could be good too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, we're glad you're here. And yeah, if you have access to the chat, maybe where you are, what you do. I'm going to share a blank screen here, and I'm going to ask Melissa to explain how we might use this annotate feature on Zoom for anyone who is on a computer at least, to build a network map based on what we know about each other now.
Yeah, so for most of you, if you're on your computer and you have the Zoom application downloaded, this will make sense to you. If you are looking at Zoom from a browser or through the Whova app, I may not know how to help you. But if you are on the browser operation, you will see up at the top of your screen, it says you are viewing Gabriel Oppler's screen in green. And next to that is the View Options button. There's a little down caret that you can click, and you'll see an option that says Annotate. So if you click on Annotate, you will pull up a whole bunch of options, one of which is, say, the stamp function. You can put those around, and then the text function. So basically what we're going to do to build this network map is put everyone's names down, and then we will begin drawing lines between each person, and within those lines will indicate like what the connection is. So I know that in some way, shape, or form, Gabe and I are connected. Oh, my name was there, but now it's gone.
Name off. I thought it seemed unfair of me to decide where people belong. I don't think that's right. So, yeah, so go ahead. And that's, I think, the first step in this network would be either type your name, or you could choose the stamp or the draw feature and even draw a picture of yourself or a picture of something that represents you. And that is going to be your node in the network. And then we'll work on making the connections.
And so if you do like put your name down, but you want to move it to a different place on the screen, you have to go back up to that bar up top and click the mouse function. And once you have that engaged, you can drag things around.
Okay, the other thing is, if there's anyone who is joining through the Whova platform, I doubt that you have the annotation feature. But if you have a chat feature, you can maybe write down where you'd like to be and how you're connected, and we'll get you part of the network. I have that chat open as well.
And so, Leia, you'll look at the top of the screen. There'll be the green bar that says you are viewing Gabriel Oppler's screen, and there'll be a View Options button. To click that and hit Annotate. If you don't see that, it might be because you're on the wrong type of application, like you're through your web browser rather than using the Zoom application. But I can add your name in for you.
Also, feel free to come off chat or come off the mute, put your video on if you want, and let us know, like, what are you doing? What are you drawing? Where are you? Why? For instance, I'm drawing a tree because I love them.
All right, so our first step, Judy, is to make sure everyone has their name up here, which we do not yet. So we need to add Leia as one. Who else's name are we missing?
I read it.
Oh, you did get it. Never mind. I'll clear mine.
We're getting going with some connections.
Yeah. So once we have everyone's name in, we can begin drawing the connections between people, which is where those radically human introductions will help.
Where's the annotate?
So
yeah, go ahead.
Top of your screen, it'll say you are viewing Gabriel Oppler's screen. You're in Zoom.
Okay.
And there's the view options drop down next to that.
Okay.
Is there anyone else who we don't have represented? Even if you are joining the workshop just now or need to leave later, I think the more challenging and larger the network, the more exciting this can be.
I guess I should put my own name in.
Yeah, where are you, Melissa? Oh, there you go. Okay. Okay, cool. So how, this is kind of maybe a rhetorical question, but in our network, what does an arrow represent or a line represent?
I would love if people could explain the connections they're drawing because it's cool to see, but unfortunately I turned up late, so I missed most of your introductions. But there seems to be a lot of connections going on, so I'd love to hear why. I see Germany there. Yeah, I didn't miss that.
Yeah, you guys are doing great on this.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you can feel free to label them or come off mute and let us know what you're thinking. Thanks for that question, Emo.
We got some great information, and now I'm having a hard time recalling who it belonged to.
Wow. I can't see the chat right now. Melissa, can you? Is there any other questions at this point?
Let me check. So it was a reiteration of what we are currently doing. So if you can, using the annotation feature, which can be found up at the top of the screen, it'll say you are viewing Gabriel Oppler's screen. You might need to like bring your mouse up around that area to make it pop up. And next to that little green box, there'll be a view options dropdown. So you click that and select annotate, and it'll pull up a menu where you can use text, draw, stamp items. And what we're doing is just trying to get everyone's name down currently, and then linking arrows between one another and some of these items. So even if you don't know something about someone else, but you know that, hey, I interact with human wildlife conflict policy, I am also from Germany, link your names to some of those items. Akasha's making this look really pretty.
What is you can probably see my cursor. What is this picture up here in the right, upper right?
I think it's a flag, but in true American form. Could not definitively tell you which flag. Also, that is one other thing that I do really want to say. Thank you all for, like, you all have spoken with beautiful English today. I always feel like people are meeting me all the way, and I am always forever grateful that I don't have to. Yeah, it's amazing to see everyone speak English so well, and I am here with rudimentary Kiswahili, so.
Kiswahili. Jumble.
Habari yako?
Are you working in some places in Africa, Melissa?
Yeah, so I was living in Kenya for about 2 years before COVID, of course, the typical story these days. But I've been going out there for a few years, and my husband was raised out there. And we currently work in the Saknot region for my position here at the Center for Large Landscape Conservation, doing corridor work.
Very good.
Wow, this is great.
This is really cool.
The messier, the better, honestly. It's like a stew. The more veggies you throw in, the better.
COVID displacement. I like whoever added that one.
Where's that?
It's down by my name.
Jeez. Wow.
Then I know I can link CC to that one as well. Okay. I'm trying to think, are there any like major conservation sectoral items that we've missed? Do we have policy links anywhere?
Yeah, or more broadly, now that I see that the additions may be slowing down, does anyone want to share what were some of the themes or kinds of connections that seem to be strongest, either that you added or that you can observe? or any observations at all. They don't, not necessarily about linkages or how is even this experience of doing this activity felt to you?
This is really awesome to see all these cool connections. When Gabe and I were originally dreaming this up, we figured that we would have a bit higher attendance and that we would put everyone into smaller breakout rooms. So I'm just really pleased that we were all able to collaborate together and for everyone to be involved instead of just smaller, separate networking maps. This has been really cool.
I'll pose another question. Is there anything that's surprising about our network? Anything that was unexpected? And again, I cannot see the chat. If Melissa, you're gonna have to look at the chat.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, unexpected connection. Go for it.
I didn't expect to do that, but I think it's a really good idea, and I will do that for my kids, not my kids, for the children that I have care of them and inspire them for sustainability, and I think it's a really good idea. And to connect, to explain their self, sorry. And well, I have to improve my English also.
You're good.
Sorry, but yes, I think it's a really good idea. Yeah, I like a lot.
Yeah, I highly recommend you all get a little familiar with the annotation feature and bring it to some of your more collaborative things. I've used this quite a bit throughout the year, and it's really gotten, as you can see, people get pretty involved. It's fun to break away from just like the Zoom and gloom kind of situation we've been in. Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite connections are these like oddly specific things that have come up, like the Catalan youth delegation, just like really site-specific things I always find interesting.
Yeah, I'm also noticing a lot of references to language and culture and country. And I've worked in sort of biology and conservation mostly here in the United States. And this is in the last 2 years is my sort of switch to more international work. So of course, the big excitement of the IUCN Congress or I guess even the Youth Congress that was supposed to be in Marseille was physically being in the same place with people from all over the world. But pretty cool to see even in a virtual setting that we are all in a way representing kind of our homes, but through similar kinds of themes and passions. Like for instance, I see wildlife trade and I see mountains and I see sunshine and rain, things that are obviously globally significant. That's what stood out to me.
Gabe, where are you in the US?
So I work with Melissa also in Montana. But funny enough, while she's in Bozeman, I'm in Missoula, so a different city because I'm in school at the University of Montana. So this is a little meta, we've been virtually planning a virtual event. So I guess adapting.
I'm in New York.
Nice. And
New York State, actually.
So now that your audio works, do you want to give like a 2-minute intro?
Ja.
Post intro?
I mean, I guess. Und Sissy, wir können auch Deutsch sprechen. We can speak in German. Yeah, that's it. Well, yeah, I guess so. What I was trying to say on there was like I was pulling up a few websites or like a few like links so that it would be in like, because visual introduction can help to guide, especially when you're telling a narrative as you guys were doing. So it's like I can pull up a bunch of websites, a couple websites on my Instagram, right? Yeah, so I'm Dan, he, him, his, and then Gabe and Melissa may know this introduction. I'm on unceded territory of the Esopus Sashenape tribes, because this is one of the things we often do when talking about being in the U.S. Land acknowledgement, which definitely is all around the world as well. But and I'm from New York State, but I think up until about, let me think, just February 2020, but a little bit I was living in Guatemala and Central America, but then also I work with Jejigat, which is an international campaign, and that is actually from is a march from India to Switzerland, to Geneva, and I work with that currently. I also lived in India, in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, for a course called International Course in Guided Nonviolence Student Application. And so, मैं थोड़े Hindi, but also I've been a climate organizer, so 3T.org, and that, but yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, glad you can make it.
Yeah. And I also work with youth around the country too, by the way, as well as for US, but also.
Great. So I love this network map. I'm loath to pull it off the screen, but I wonder if we should move into our wrap up, unless anyone else has any final comments, anything you want to contribute and didn't have a chance to yet. We do want to hear from you.
Well, I have saved a picture and I'm going to share it. Oh, weird, it covers in the chat here so that we can all brag to our friends how connected we are. Let's see, let me do a screenshot. Does that work? Boom. Did it work? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I agree, Melissa. It is pretty tough to take it off.
Great. Thank you everyone for being so involved. That could have gone one or two ways. You could have been involved, or Gabe and I could have awkwardly two-man showed this. So we're really glad that you all got involved, and it was really cool to hear from everyone. Some of you came in a bit late, but at the beginning of this networking session, Gabe and I just really wanted to focus on bringing forward this idea of these unexpected connections. And as you've all seen, we were able to take 18 people and fill that entire plate with all the connections between us, having never met before this. In Gabe and I's work at the Center for Large Landscape Conservation, we help organize the Connectivity Conservation Specialist Group, which is focused on advancing ecological connectivity in conservation. In parallel to that work, it's come to light that Gabe and I realized that we do need more young folk involved in this type of connectivity work. And through the Center for Large Landscape Conservation, we have the opportunity to create and host a youth network dedicated to advancing ecological connectivity. It won't be directly associated with the IUCN, but through that channel, it might give us a bit more opportunity to advance items that interest everyone in the group. We'll be able to do a bit more networking for sure, and potentially just build up this network that we can all be involved in and push forward our own ecological connectivity agendas. As Gabe, as I said before, we wanted to share this sign-up sheet. I just dropped it in the chat. It will link you to a Google form so we can get some information from you, so we can begin building up this youth network. This is a bit of a brainchild idea from Gabe and me, so it might take a little bit to get off the ground, but clearly there's a lot of connections to be made. I hope we've highlighted a bit more how powerful those connections can be, and that you kind of bring that idea back into your conservation work because not everyone works as specifically within the realm of connectivity as Gabe and I do. I've now slid a bit into a rambling statement, so if Gabe wants to add anything else before we close it out.
I just want to say that I'm having technical difficulties with sharing this beautiful network map picture. It's not letting me put it in the chat here for some reason. But what I can do, I believe, is put it into the Whova discussion board for this session. Yeah, that's going to be my plan, I think. But it's safe and sound. It's just the chat's not working. But to reiterate what Melissa was more eloquently saying, this has been a really excellent experience for myself, and I hope it was for you as well, to see again how the personal and the professional meld, and also how that human networking connectivity theme may also have an analog in the ecological connectivity that is, you know, kind of the foundation for our ecosystems. And so we hope that you will check out that link to join that youth network for connectivity conservation, and that it'll evolve organically depending on, you know, who's part of it and what they see fit. And yeah, this has just been a pleasure to meet you and get to know you. And we hope that you'll also, bring these ideas about connectivity, again, both human and ecological and both, to the youth speak labs in the IUCN, or as part of the Global Youth Summit as a whole. And those sessions are designed to craft the outcome statement for the summit that will eventually then go to the IUCN World Conservation Congress, hopefully in Marseille in September. And that you just enjoy the rest of the summit and continue to make connections. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Gabe
a
and
lot.
Melissa.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa
Thanks
and
so
Gab.
much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It's good night from India. Midnight.
Good, very, very late night.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.